Hello, readers. Welcome back to the Litdulterous Whore. I'm your host, Stacey. Now, as you may have noticed, I have mostly been doing the deep dive with Top and TBR and a whole host of author interviews. And I'm absolutely loving the author interviews. But I have a little break right now because I still have books to read for my upcoming authors, and I'm just starting to rebook appointment slots again for being on the podcast. So I thought today was an excellent time to do a Read Like Rory episode. And it's really fortuitous because it's been a minute and Halloween is right around the corner. So I am doing Read Like Rory Stephen King edition. Now, she did do more than the two books that I am doing today. I didn't want to make this a really crazy long episode. So I decided I would pick two of my favorites, two books that I read a long time ago. As you may or may not know, depending on how long you have been a listener of mine, Stephen King pretty much started my journey into book obsession. I was 15 years old. My uncle bought me a copy of The Green Mile because originally it was split into 6 books. It was like 6 small books. And when it was released as a whole book, he bought me a copy. And I have been obsessed with Stephen King ever since. Now, if you know how old I am, you'll know how long I have been reading Stephen King books for. So I took 2 books, Christine and Cujo, because I read them when I was much, much younger. For example, I think I was still in high school when I read Christine, so I would have been 16, 17 years old, and I was 19, I think, when I read Cujo. So I wanted to do a reread of both of those, and they were also 2 books I already owned. Now, I own a lot of Stephen King books, but it was funny because I could not find a copy of Carrie anywhere, but I have 3 copies of Misery, so yeah, that was really, really strange. So my week of reading has been a little mixed. I had some ARC books to read from NetGalley and from publishers. And then I had my indie author, my indie files, as I like to call them, books to finish up. And then I wanted to do these Read Like Rory books. So yes, I could have done more. I'm fairly certain that Rory, other than Carrie, I think that there may have been 1 or 2 more that she actually did during the show. And I will get to those eventually, but it just probably won't be for a few weeks yet. But I'm very, very excited to share with you my thoughts and feelings about these books, especially because both of them were rereads. Now, like I said, my uncle bought me The Green Mile when I was a child, and I became very, very obsessed with Stephen King. Horror was basically where I started my reading journey. And now, as an adult reader, I still love horror. I really do. But I find that things don't scare me the way they used to. So this was really interesting for me to see how my feelings about Stephen King's original works have impacted me and hit me differently as an adult. So I'm excited to share all of that with you. Now, somebody asked me, now this is completely off topic, but somebody asked me, they were like, hey, you've been doing your podcast for about a year now. And I was like, shit, yes, I have. How did you know? And she was like, I don't necessarily want to do a bookish podcast, but I would like to be able to do a podcast. She was like, what do I need to do that? And I was like, honestly, some form of mic, but if you have an iPhone, that works. A camera, again, iPhone, that works. Just buy a stand for it. And Riverside has free, like you can do, I think it's like, I think it's 2 full hours a month for free that you can record and use as services. You can't use their premium products. I don't think I was able to when I first started out, but you can do it all for free. And then you just upload it to YouTube and Spotify. And again, that's free. And if you just do your marketing, it's really not that hard to start. And she's like, but you have a microphone. I'm like, yeah, because I'm extra. Like, it's not, you don't need it. You really, it's like, I could use a laptop, for example, and I could just record on Riverside. There's other platforms, but I use Riverside because I know it, I like it, I enjoy it. So if you're going to use any platform, I highly recommend you have a look at the free service they do first before you pay any money into it. And just go with the free upload places. Like you could do Podbean, but that costs money. You could do RSS, again, like they have a free service thing, but they only allow you to do so much before you have to stop deleting it. And I think that's ridiculous. So I actually didn't even bother with them in the end. there's so many ways to do this for free, especially if you just want to try it out and see if you like it. So if that was a question that you guys have ever had, is how do I start? I can give you an exact breakdown if you'd like. Just email me, litdulterous@gmail.com. But honestly, as long as you have a half decent phone with camera and microphone and something to hold it while you do it and some kind of software, you'll be good to go. All right. So now I've got that out of the way. Let's move on to Stephen King. I have to admit, I'd still read his books now, like the ones that he publishes now. And you can tell that he has honed his craft just in such a way that you can see the journey. Even though I much, much, much prefer his earlier works, he is still a really phenomenal writer. All right, let's get cracking. So I started out my week with Christine because, oh my God, my fucking God, that is a beast of a book. It's huge. If you have ever picked up a copy, you could probably quite easily unalive somebody by bonking them on a head with this book. Okay, I don't recommend it, don't do it, but it is a sizable read. So the book Christine is literally about this nerdy kid. He's a teenager and he's driving home with his best friend and they spot this rust bucket of a Plymouth Fury and he makes the other kids stop the vehicle. He needs this car and he literally gets that and it starts to really consume his whole life. Car seems to be fucking possessed. Okay? And this car literally drives a wedge between him and his parents, him and his friend, him and his girl. Like it's something else. Okay. So why do I think Rory enjoyed this book? I think she would have understood Arnie. He's the kid who gets the vehicle, who gets Christine, because he's a social outcast. He's not well liked at school. He's misunderstood. Like, he's got basically one friend. He's full of zits. He's really nerdy and weird. And I think that Rory would have really understood not being part of the normal scene. Like, she was a kid in Stars Hollow High School, and she's so smart that she's not getting what she needs from the school anymore, right? So that's why she ends up going to Chilton. And I think that would have resonated with her being almost a social pariah, if you like, because even when she goes to Chilton and all those kids are smart, well, now these kids are rich and she is not. So I think that she would have felt a kind of kinship with Arnie and she would have connected with how Christine kind of gave him the control that he was lacking over his life. Like he started to stand up against his parents. His skin was starting to clear up. There was a lot of things going on with this kid, and you never really know completely how much of it is his growth as a person anyway, and how much of it is because of this freaking car. Now, I also think that she would have really enjoyed just how descripted Stephen King is. Like, this book is wordy as fuck, and I mean wordy as fuck. And he's such an iconic reader. I think that she would have been tempted to read his books anyway, just because of how many books he had written by that point in the show and just how popular his works really are. Now, the book covers things like obsession, jealousy. It's a real page turner. Moves at a fairly quick pace. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. And there's a lot of components to the book. And it was scary as fuck, I'm not going to lie. I was shuddering every now and again. And I didn't really want to go and drive anywhere about 2 days afterwards. But it's a very gripping book. Now, what did I think of it? It was fucking long, okay? I was really worried I was not going to finish it in time to be able to get Cujo read as well. And I was like, shit. Like, I very almost decided that I was just going to do Christine today. And I'm like, no. I was determined. So what I did was I actually managed to grab an audiobook copy from my library and I switched between the two when I felt like I was getting too far behind with reading. And the audio was really fucking well done. They do the voice of the guy who sold the vehicle. And when the kid's like almost channeling this guy, right? Like the voice changed and whatnot. Oh, it was fabulous. I think had I had to pick which format I would have preferred to do the whole thing in, I probably would have gone audiobook. It was so well done. Really well done. Like the narration was chef's kid perfection. Okay. For me, I felt that the characters were really well flushed out. I could see just how Arnie had changed from the dorky kid, how the car and the possession was kind of changing him, molding him, and he was grappling to try and pull himself back because he could feel something wasn't right. I felt like his parents were real parents for back in the day. You know what I mean? The mom has one opinion, the dad just kind of follows along. It all made sense. You know what I mean? The girlfriend and then the best friend who, some bad shit happens to him too. And he understands that something is not right with that car, but his friend can't see it and they kind of break apart. So I felt that the characters were really, really well defined. I could see them as real people in my mind's eye. And I have them. I just haven't done it yet, but I actually got my husband to find me copies of the original movies of both of these books. And I was going to watch them before I recorded. And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get mixed up with the movie and the book. So I'm going to actually watch after I finish recording, just because I wanted the full experience of being able to see if what was going on in my head was how somebody put it on the big screen. So obviously it's very well written. Stephen King is a master of his craft, and I really, really enjoyed the way he wrote. Now, like I said, it's very wordy. I think that there were some sections he could have cut. There were some things in there that I don't think needed to be in there, but that's just my personal opinion on it. Now, I really enjoyed the paranormal parts of the story, and I think it was really well balanced between plot and being character driven. Stephen King does a very, very good job of providing you with excellent characters driving a story forward and the plot being there as well. So they worked in a really nice tandem harmony for me personally. And I know that some people actually felt like the paranormal stuff with the car was a bit much. And I'm like, the book was called Christine. The car was the one doing all the bad stuff, you know? And they were like, well, wouldn't it have been better if he'd just been possessed by the dead guy? And I'm like, yeah, no. I quite liked that the car was a complete and utter shit. I liked that she was driving around all by herself, causing mania everywhere she went. And I loved it just as much as I remember loving it. You know what I mean? I thought that there was more car in it. I don't know why I thought that. I thought the car got up to more shenanigans than she really did, but the book does a lot more building up before we really see Christine getting in her groove. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It does remind me of why I was such a big Stephen King fan back when I was a teenager, and I really loved that. I felt very nostalgic. Now, what would I have given it for Luke's cups of coffee? Yeah, I think it still would have been a 4 cups for me. I think if it had been shorter, that I think it would have been a 5-star book. There were sections that were a little boring. I know that maybe it was massively important for the story for him to be like running alcohol and cigarettes and contraband and whatnot. But I kind of felt like that whole stuff seemed really unnecessary. I know they were trying to show that Arnie had changed from being this sweet little straight-laced dorky kid, but I don't know. I don't know. I could have done without it. It didn't really feel like it was necessary for the paranormal stuff of Christine. I would have loved more of that. I would have loved for Christine to have maybe killed a few more people. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I'm bad girl. But I do. It firmly cemented Stephen King back in my head as being the king of horror. It really did. Like, it was terrifying. Terrifying. And the way it ended too, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like, because you don't really get resolution. You kind of do. But it's kind of like hinted that it's not really over. You know what I mean? So I kind of dig that. I kind of liked that. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I completely forgot. So I highly recommend if you have never read Stephen King or you are in the mood for a horror and you just don't know what to read, give Christine a go. I do recommend the audio, but that's just me because the book is quite sizable and you might not finish it before Halloween comes around. Okay, so then I did Cujo. Now, this book cracks me up for one reason. Stephen King literally has very little recollection of even writing this book. This was during the time when he was in his throes of alcohol and cocaine addiction. Now, if you are a Stephen King person, then you know you've probably seen his interviews, read his interviews where he's talked about his struggles during that time. And it's funny because this book is quite the magnificent feat of writing. Okay. Now, it's funny because this book was actually published in 1981, which is the year I was born. So Cujo is fucking old. Now, if you don't know much about this book, I'll explain. Now, Cujo is a Saint Bernard. He is a big, friendly teddy bear of a Saint Bernard until he becomes a complete freaking monster when a rabid bat bites him. It literally leads to him turning into this terrifyingly monstrous, snarling, red-eyed beast. Now, the story literally focuses on the ordeal of a mother and child, Donna and Tad, and they drive their car to the guy that does like working on cars because she's having some car troubles. It makes it to this farm and it stops running. Now, the people that live there are gone. She didn't know that. So her and her son are trapped in this vehicle with a rabid dog who wants to eat them. Her husband's away on a business trip, so he doesn't even know what's going on. So it's one of those books that kind of covers not just the horror side of it, but it covers things like the marital breakdowns and the fragility of modern family. So why did Rory like it? Like, seems like a weird book to like. Now, I think it covers some really interesting topics, and I think that she would have felt the same way I do. The way it's written, it feels as though the families, even though it's set in modern day, in the 80s, materialistic world, that these family groupings are like the these models, you know. It's very intriguing the way the story is written. So I really enjoyed that. And I think that Rory would have as well. And Donna, like, they have marital issues, and that's all explained as the book rolls on. Donna has an affair. The guy that she cheats with decides to tell her husband in a really fucking shitty way. And then he has to go off on a business trip to save his business. Yeah, it literally highlights the struggles between the two of them and the struggles they have separately as individuals as well. And the book covers death and loss in a really quite traumatic way, if I'm honest. It's very traumatic. It has a normally very placid, docile, sweet animal, and it's turned into a monster. Not of its own creation, but because of something that is actually very real. So, for me, and probably for Rory too, it's very ordinary and very realistic. And that makes it even more terrifying because this shit could really fucking happen. It was nerve-wracking and it was well-paced. It was disturbing. Considering the fact that he doesn't even really remember writing it, the writing is spot on for me. Now, the characters are really well-developed and they have all these extra layers in their character flaws, and you can see where all these conflicts are coming from. You can see why Donna does what she does. You can see why Vic reacts the way he does. You can see why the people that live on the farm who own Cujo, like the wife and the son, they go off to see her sister, and you can see how she feels about things and how the son feels about things. And it's really very well done. Even though they're not really the biggest center of the story, they have a part to play, and it's very well done. I'm not going to lie. It's very well done. And the story has this deeper level of terror. Like, it's not just surface horror. It's not just, I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but it felt like it got built in with fear from a child in the beginning. And in the end, it all gets tied into Cujo and what happened to him. So I think that she would have really enjoyed the complexity of the story, that there was way more to it than just a rabid dog. And it would have really appealed to her on a very primal level. That's kind of how I feel about it for her. But why did I enjoy it? Because I did. I enjoyed the crap out of it. So for me, after Cujo is bitten, it gets really, really graphic. The scenes get really, really intense. Now, I know some people online were like, that was too much for me. I get it. I completely get it because the way it's described and the feelings and emotions, like it was really intense. Like I felt a very deep, uneasy feeling. I'm a dog person, okay? Now, I had read this book, I told you. I was working in a call center. I was with my ex-husband, who is a piece of crap. And I got this book off eBay and I'm reading it. And he is not a very nice person. Don't even ask me about any of that stuff. But he decided after he saw how much this book terrified me that he now wanted a Saint Bernard pup. Well, the joke was on him in the end because even though I was absolutely terrified when we went to the breeder to go pick up the pup to go choose her and bring her home. And the father of the puppy we brought home was ginormous and he had slobbery jowls. I was quite panicked, especially when they let him in the living room. He come running up to me. His head was like he was a sizable animal. And my ex got quite the kick out of watching me fear. It was a fear response. But the joke was on him in the end because that dog became one of my favorite animals of all time. Rest in peace, Taya. She passed away a long time ago, but I still miss her. So the joke was on him in the end because she was one of my favorite animals. So now it's funny because we start off the book and Tad is afraid of something that's happening in his closet. And we never really find out or have it explained to us what's really going on there because strange things really are happening. He says he sees things, hears things. The door opens. They said that he doesn't go in there during the day. He refused to go in his closet, but yet things keep getting moved in there. And the mum gets an uneasy feeling like she got caught in the wardrobe one day and she freaked out. So there's this overlapping fear of something that's not explained to them having this big fear of the dog. And it's funny because the father writes like this spell down, like he repeats this mantra every night to the son so that he can sleep and they pin it to the wall and then he takes it with him. So it's like, I won't say it's like a crutch, but I guess it makes him feel better. It's like a safety blanket. So he has all the words that his dad wrote down for when he's in the car and they're going to drop off the vehicle. Now, I can see it in my mind's eye, okay, was obviously running through what was going on with him, which I actually really enjoyed because we got the point of view of Cujo in his head. He's been bitten. He's very upset. He doesn't want to eat, doesn't want to drink. Everything, like things are not right. And then everything sounds really loud. And every human he comes into contact with is the reason why he's in so much pain. This is all their fault, which is where he gets like the murder streak from. And I really, really love that. I think that the book would have been nowhere near as good if we weren't given the perspective of Cujo. It was very well done. I loved it to get into the mindset of the animal where he's like, oh, the noise is bad. Oh, she's the reason. She has to die, and then I'll feel better. You know what I mean? It's like, obviously, you can't blame what happened to Cujo on Cujo. Like, he was bitten by a rabid bat. No one took care of him. Even though they realized that something wasn't quite right with the dog, they still left and went on vacation. And I think if he had got in and got treatment, that he would have been okay. So it was really sad that these things happened to this dog, especially the ending with what Donna does to him. Oh my God. Like I understand why I do. I get it, but oh my God, it was very traumatic. I would say if you have any triggers, especially ones surrounding animals, I probably wouldn't recommend reading Cujo at all. Like it was quite it was something. It was something else. I'm not gonna lie. It's graphic. Very, very graphic. Now, the biggest problems I think I had with the book were there seemed like there was quite a lot of unnecessary stuff in there, like Vic. We know that he has to go away on a business trip because things are failing with his business and he has to go fix all this stuff. And I don't think that him being gone and hearing about him whilst he's gone was really necessary. He didn't it didn't add anything. Like we could have known that the dad was calling or I don't know, it felt really unnecessary to have the dad's perspective of when he was gone, like drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning or whatever, having a screwdriver. Like, it just seemed really unnecessary to me. I don't know. I think it could have been cut, if I'm honest. I think it could have been cut. And I didn't much care for the character of Donna. Okay. I still didn't even really have much of a care for her even at the end after what happens, because she is a real, I don't know, she's a real jerk. Like, she annoyed me no end. Like, she didn't really treat her kid very well. She was really inconsiderate. It was all about how she was feeling. Like, all the things that she did, just, I don't know. She just seemed disingenuous. Like, I didn't like her. And that's really hard for me because I really need to connect with characters to be able to care about what happens to them. So at the end, I was kind of like, okay. You know what I mean? So I think if Donna had been just a little bit more likable, I think this book would have really hurt. Like, I think I would have been devastated for her. You know what I mean? Like, every time Cujo hit that car, because he was trying to get in the car, right? He was adamant that if he killed her, the pain would stop. I could literally hear the banging in my head. I could feel the car jerking. And honestly, I was scared shitless. I'm not even joking, okay? I was like, okay, you know what? You know what this reminds me of? Stephen King is not for the faint of heart. Really isn't. And do you know what he did? As soon as I finished reading Cujo and I was finished, I closed the book. I had to cover it. Like, that's how, you know how when Joey puts The Shining into freezer? I was this close, man. I was this freaking close. So I kind of covered it with another book and I pushed it away. I had to go read, like, what did I read? I think it was Elsie Silver, I think it is, like a romance book, because I needed it. So I needed it. I really needed it, because I was like, oh my God, like, I have dogs too. I have rescue dogs, right? So we have she's a blue heeler cross with some kind of shepherd dog. She's really pretty, but she was kind of looking at me and I'm like, you're going to eat me, right? We're friends, right? I gave her a treat and she was just kind of looking at me. And I think it's because she could probably tell I was a little heightened. She was just staring at me and I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? The dog's freaking me out. You know what I mean? So, and I love horror, and horror doesn't hit me the same way as it used to when I was a kid. I used to love slasher movies and all that stuff. And now I'm like, I'm a little bit more timid, I think. So I'm like, and my daughter was like trying to play jokes on me after the book freaked me out yesterday. Like, she was doing like jump scare stuff at me. So it was yeah, I have to admit, I'm really glad that I did this. I wished I'd had more time. I wished I'd managed to get Carrie in there as well. And I think that she did do The Shining as well, but The Shining's a pretty sizable book as well. I did not, or Firestar. Maybe it's Firestar. I don't know. There's 4 or 5 Stephen King books on her list. I'd have to go through and mark out which ones they were. I'm fairly certain Firestar is on there. But they're all, again, they're pretty long books. There was no way I was fitting in 3 or 4 Stephen King books on top of everything else I was doing. Because I actually have another author interview coming up on Wednesday. So it's going to be a little late. So I'm probably going to record something else for Tuesday. I have the Toppling TBR episode, Kingdom of Ash. It's the last part of the Throne of Glass series. And we'll be doing that on Sunday because Hannah is busy on Saturday. And then we were going to do like a wrap up episode on the series the following week. And then we're probably going to move into A Court of Thorns and Roses. I was kind of hoping we could move into something away from Sergio Moss, but we both have the books, so I think it makes sense to not buy another series when I have those here. I think we're planning on doing Quicksilver at some point for when the new book comes out, which I think is November something, November 18th maybe. I don't really know. And I'm really excited for that. Yeah, I have to say, I remember why I'm a Stephen King fan now. I will definitely be reading more of his older books again. Like, probably will do Needful Things next, now that I won't, like, I'll take a break from him from the list. But yeah, Needful Things was always one of my favorites when I was a teenager, and I want to see if I remember that one correctly, because in all honesty, Cujo I did remember quite well. Like, nothing I didn't forget anything, like, it all I remembered it all quite well. But Christine, there were gaps in what I remember of the book, and I don't know if it's because I don't know, like, I'm old now, right? Like, that was almost 30 years ago, so might just be a memory thing. But I read Cujo around the same time, so I don't know. I don't know, but there were things that I had missed that I hadn't remembered correctly, so I would like to get back and do that with some of his other work, and that's really very exciting. Now, it would even be more exciting if I could find some people to buddy read. Like, I think Stephen King needs to be picked apart a little more than just these Read Like Rory episodes. So if you'd like to come and do a buddy read with me on any Stephen King book, and I do mean any, like, even we could even do one of the books I've already done. Like, we could do Cujo or Christine, it's up to you. Drop me an email, litdulterous@gmail.com. I think it would be a lot of fun to do a deep dive episode on a Stephen King book because there are so many Easter eggs in there. They are so much fun. There are things that I probably missed. I noticed that when I talk to Hannah and we're discussing Throne of Glass, that she catches things I miss sometimes. And I know that she's already done it once, so she probably already had a fair idea of was able to spot things again. But I loved that. And I really feel like it's time for me to do a deep dive on something that's other than fantasy. So if you are up for that, definitely drop me an email. Even if you don't want to come on the show, that's okay. We can still do a buddy read. I would be really excited to do that with you. So drop me an email. That'll be fun. Now, you can always find me on my social medias. You can find me on TikTok at Litdulterous. You can find me on Facebook at Litdulterous. You can find me on Instagram at Litdulterous Whore. You can find me on YouTube as don't forget to hit that subscribe button and sign yourself up for when I drop new episodes. I like to post little shorts on there too, so they're pretty funny. You should definitely give me a follow and keep up to date with everything that I'm posting. And don't forget to follow me on Spotify. And if you give me a 5-star review on there, little 5 stars on my Spotify at Litdulterous Whore, I will send you a bookmark. Yep. I don't care where you are in the world. I will send you a laminated or magnetic bookmark. You just have to drop me an email and show me that you have done it. I really hope that you have enjoyed this episode. I will be trying to get back onto a more balanced kill with my episodes. I know I've been doing a lot of author interviews. I'm really loving them. I get to read books that I wouldn't have found otherwise, and I get to meet and learn at a more emotional and connected level with authors. So I understand more of their books from their perspective. So that's been really fun for me. I hope that you have the reading weekend that you deserve, my friends, and I will catch you on Sunday on the Toppling TBR. Take care for now.